All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, welcome. So today I'm going to cover the art and the process of a like list and how to sell something every single time on a presentation. And so the first thing that I really want to point out here is that the like list, there's a really big misconception in average order and in selling big. So if you were talking to two people and one person said my average order is $900, the other one was 400, who would you probably think is a better salesman? Probably a $900. But here's kind of the misconception: is this is what their sales report usually looks like. That's a total of $3,800. It's a lot of big sales. It's a lot of no sales. And so the average order person, this is what theirs might look like. Little different. They make a sale every single time. And yeah, their average order is smaller, but they sold more Cutco at the end of the day. And so my point is that more orders equals more CPO, and more CPO equals more money in your pocket. So how do you do this? It all comes down to rapport and cooking rapport. Now, rapport is something I will cover in a different video at a different time. However, I will dive into cooking rapport, and I'll show you why that's so important to building a massive like list. Here we go. Here are the two important things: rapport, cooking rapport. And to dive into cooking rapport a little bit, there are some key questions that you want to nail every single time. Now, cooking rapport, I want this to be remembered. You want to do this at the beginning of the presentation. And the reason why is it lays the foundation for the rest of your demo. So when you get to tell Mrs. Jones, hey, these are just some questions I'm going to ask so that I don't show you a bunch of stuff you don't necessarily care about, nugget. That way they feel a lot more comfortable and they start to just unleash information at you because they don't want to sit through a presentation of stuff that they don't care about. And so if there's two of them there, which you want two people to obviously be there, set this up on the phone beforehand, a whole nother topic as well. But when you're asking questions, so who does most of the cooking? That's awesome. Whatever they say, that's awesome. Pump them up. Do you make food because now you're looking at whoever does the cooking? Do you make food because you have to, because you like to, or a little bit of both? Whatever they say. Yeah, everyone has to eat, right? So how many nights of the week do you actually make dinner right there in your own kitchen? How often are you preparing food, cutting stuff up? 1 to 2, 3 to 5, or almost every single day. And on top of that, like breakfast, lunches, snacks, stuff like that. Okay, cool. Got it. And then from this point, you want to ask about every single knife. And what I mean by that is, what are the top 3 meats you guys prepare? Steaks, chicken, ribs, burgers. Do you guys grill? That's awesome. And basically what you're doing here, fruits, veggies, apples, tomatoes, peppers, what you're doing is listing off every single food that they could possibly cut up with each Cutco knife. And so these questions here, I'm going to go through this quick. So if you want to pause this and write this stuff down, go ahead. But basically what you're doing is you're covering every single knife that Cutco makes. And the reason you want to do this is because you don't want to sell someone something that they don't need. Our job is not to be Cutco salespeople. Our job is to be kitchen consultants for our customers. That's how you end up happy, your customer ends up happy, and everybody gets what they want out of the situation. And so what you want to do every single presentation is help Mr. and Mrs. Jones get what they need. How do you figure out what they need? You have to figure out what they do. And so for the paring knife, you want to ask them questions like, hey, you guys cut up apples, strawberries? Are you peeling your potatoes or using a knife for them? Got it. Next knife, you move on to the trimmer. And so you ask them, hey, you guys cut up tomatoes on the cutting board, limes, lemons, cucumbers. Basically, you ever cut up chicken breast? Doesn't that suck to cut up? Yeah, it's usually pretty tough. Spatula spreader. Do you take sandwiches to work for lunch? Yeah? Okay, awesome. Do you ever make PB&Js for the kids? What you want to do is create a need for every single knife in this set, because odds are Mr. and Mrs. Jones do something that requires every knife in the homemaker. If not, they're not a normal American couple. And so your job is to find something they prepare with every single knife during the cooking report. Okay, so that brings us to the actual like list, the point of the video, basically the main shebang. So the like list, there's an art to it, and the beginning half is what I just showed you. You have to find out what Mr. and Mrs. Jones need. So if they say no to the sets of Cutco at this point, all you have to do, and it's really simple, you've heard this before, is to follow the manual. And so in the manual on page 12, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you customize your own set. I can get you something for free. A little shift. Instead of a wish list, let's call it a like list. And the reason why that you want to call it a like list is because you get to say this: Mrs. Jones, let's build you a like list. These are pieces that you kind of liked throughout the demo. There aren't necessarily pieces you're buying today, but just pieces you liked. That way you can see the price and I can have the list if I ever need to go back, if we have some kind of sale going on. So if all the knives were falling from the sky, handles down, of course, what are the first 5 knives that you would go grab before your neighbor does? And I'll post these scripts and like this kind of stuff. I'll just put a PDF of this presentation actually in the description below. So if you want to copy and paste in your script or whatever, you can. But this is the process of setting up the like list. And so there's 3 keys to the actual like list and building it. The first thing is you want to pick the first knife for them. And this is where your cooking rapport is super, super important, because normally there's one knife that just makes so much sense for a customer. I'll use an example. Someone says, we cut up watermelon all the time. We also love butternut squash. We love cantaloupe. We also have a lot of frozen meat. This person needs a butcher knife more than they need to breathe. This person needs a butcher knife in their kitchen. I'm completely convicted of that. And so what you're going to do is tell them, hey, I'll put the first one down for you. I really think, if you want my professional opinion, is that you guys need a butcher knife, and here's why. Blank, blank, blank. So what would be, how many of those do you think you would need? Okay, just one. Okay, what else? What would you put? What would you go grab? And basically what you want to do is just keep reminding them these are things that they liked. And people love Cutco. If you did the presentation the right way, they liked Cutco the whole time. And what you really want to do that's really important is hold the excitement throughout this entire segment. Okay, so now I'm going to actually take you to my Cutco demo that I show to the customer so that you can see now at this point how I'm building the like list for them. And so basically what you're doing is you're asking what else and how many, you're giving suggestions, and essentially you're building a like list for the customer. All right, so we've gone through all of the knives that they want. We've gone through, table knife add-ons. We've showed them all the gadgets. We've showed them the super shears again, the cheese knife. We've showed them all of the pairing knives. We've showed them the gift sets. We've showed them everything. And at this point, what you want to do is you want to have a blank screen in your presentation. Now, this is the most important part in my opinion, is how that you present the like list. And so this is one thing I love to do. And so what you want to do is you want to annotate. And you can annotate on Zoom by clicking right by new share. To the right is pause share. To the right of that is annotate. And you can write text on your screen. And so what I've done now is on paper, I've already set up Mr. and Mrs. Jones's knives that they recommended. And so what they recommended in this situation to save us time is a trimmer, a super shears, a spatula, a chef knife, hearty slicer, table knives, and cheese knife. And these are all the things that they liked, okay? So basically, this is how I present the like list. You're going to be the customer in this situation, you as the viewer. All right, Mrs. Jones, I've figured out your deals. And so the first one I'll show you, so this is option number 1. This is the everything you've ever wanted set. So this is basically all the Cutco that you guys love. And so in it is your trimmer, which is the utility knife. You've got your super shears, the best scissors in the world. You've got your spatula for sandwiches. You've got your chef knife for chopping, your homemade salsa. You have your hearty slicer. This is your barbecue knife. Remember, Mr. Jones, now you'll really be a grill master. You got 4 quantity table knives. So the table knives, remember, here's for your steak and pork chops that are always tough. And the last thing is your cheese knife. Everyone's favorite knife right there. So this is the everything you've ever wanted set. Basically right here, this is 10 total items right there. Okay, the other option that I'll show you, this is option number 2, all right? So this is your bare necessities. Bare necessities, you know it. Number 1 is your trimmer. And now, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, this is my opinion of the things that you guys made it pretty clear that you would use every single day in your kitchen. And so this is my opinion. But these are the 4 things that I think that you would get a ton of use out of every single day. And so what I have on here is your trimmer, so your utility knife, you got your super shears, the hearty slicer because you guys grill all the time, and then everyone's favorite knife, the cheese knife. You already said your sister Suzanne loves it. And so these are the 4 items I would say that you guys can't live without. Okay, so here's option 1 and option 2. Now what I want to show you is that everything you ever wanted is normally, do you have any guesses on how much this would be? 10 items. Remember, the homemaker has 10 pieces and it's $13.26. Any guesses? Okay, so this one's actually $8.24. And it's $8.24 for the 10 items you'd use all the time. I also want to show you here that if you buy today, there's actually a buy now bonus. And with the buy now bonus, you can actually save 19% on your order. And your price, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, is only $632 today. And I can do that with the buy now bonus. Keep in mind, we have the 3-pay or the 5-pay option. And so what that looks like is actually $130 today if you wanted to take advantage of the 5-pay. And so I do like to throw this on there just so you can see it. But that is the option with the 5-pay. Now, your bare necessities. So remember, this is option 1. Now, bare necessities is normally, you have any guesses? 4 items. $435. So it's kind of in line with the $100 per item I was telling you guys about earlier. With this one, you can actually still save 13% with the buy now bonus. Not quite as much, but still pretty good deal. And I can get this all the way down to $359 today. And so you could start with your 4 favorite items for $359. You have the trimmer forever, the super shears forever, hearty slicer forever, and the cheese knife. And with this one too, of course, you have the 5-pay. So essentially, today, all this one would cost you is $121. This is 3 times, by the way, instead of 5. So I know you said that you weren't necessarily interested in buying a whole set of Cutco today. However, of the 2 options here, which one do you like better? Probably everything you ever wanted. So, okay, so here's what normally happens to me in this situation, you guys. And I wanted to play that whole thing out. I know I probably could have did it a little quicker. But what usually happens is the bare necessities becomes a no-brainer for the customer. And it gets really fun because they start to pick out pieces out of the everything you've ever wanted, and they start to add it into the bare necessities. Now, what I do, Roxanne example was someone I just showed. And so what Roxanne, she had her bare necessities, and she's like, well, we still want the table knives. And so then what I do is I put, all right, well, we could definitely do that. So this I call Roxanne's dream. And what this looks like, Roxanne, is trimmer, super shears, hearty slicer, cheese knife, and your table knives that we can add in there. This is normally $607, Mrs. Jones. And Roxanne, let me show you this. Because of the way that it works, I can't change the price of any Cutco. All I can do is bonus certain items. And the way that this falls, you just put together a better deal than I even could have. This saves you 22%, and the total comes out to $445. So Roxanne's dream technically is also the best deal on the page. So what do you think? Should we go ahead and get you guys started with Roxanne's dream? All you have to do is tell me what color. That's it. And what you want to do, what I want you guys to see here is the like list comes down to 2 separate choices. And they have the choice one or the other. And they're not buying one or the other, but you're making them pick. What do you like better? And if it happens so that they want to put together a custom deal after that, all you have to do is make the percentage of savings higher than anything else on the page. And I've made 9 sales in a row. So, all right, so that's the mastery of the like list. But there's one more thing that I want to show you, and it is how to close every single time. Like I said, I made 9 sales in a row. I haven't sold all sets in like list, but I do want to show you one last thing. And I'll actually put it in the description below, and I'm not going to put it on the screen right now. Just pretend that you're Mrs. Jones and you're the customer. And the reason that this works is because I am 100% convicted. I am 100% convinced that every single person in the world needs Cutco. And you have to have the same conviction I do that Cutco is just the best product in the history of the universe. And so if Mrs. Jones says no to the like list, that's totally fine. And so this is what I usually say. Mrs. Jones, I get it. Today just might not be the day that you invest in Cutco. I've had a lot of customers in the same position. A lot of people feel the same way. Let me just tell you one thing that they've done. And what they've done is they've invested in just one piece. And I'm not going to make you guess what piece that is. It's the trimmer. And the reason why they choose the trimmer is it's the utility knife. It's the knife that you'll use every single day for the rest of your life in the kitchen. That's my first promise. My second promise is that you put $39 down today and you put $39 down next month and you're done with the payments forever. And then my last promise, Mrs. Jones, is that I've never had anyone call me and ask to return their trimmer. What I have had a lot is people call me and ask to buy more. And if I didn't sell them more Cutco, someone else from peers that sold Cutco has. That's a promise. So what do you think, Mrs. Jones? Do you want to make the $39 investment today and have the trimmer in your kitchen for the rest of your life? Help me towards my goals and think of me every single time that you use it. And the reason that that works a lot of times is because I am dead set convinced that that person's life is better with Cutco. And as soon as they get the knife, they are too. So that's what I have for you guys on like lists. I hope it helps. And as always, have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.